Mitch, we're fucking back.
It's good to be back, bro.
Been a while since I've seen you. We were just talking about off air. When was the last one that we did, that religion podcast?
6 months ago.
6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So since then, you've had some crazy stuff, you know, gym opening up. That's got to be hectic. You've been dealing with some injuries, you know. So just kind of take me from the beginning, man. How's the gym been? At least
good. Yeah, it's been good.
Dude, you guys have been killing it, man. You had Dom's in there.
First Golden Glove winner,
Yeah.
Savage. Yeah, bro, it's been good. And I think that's the worst part about, man, anytime adversity hits you, it's never planned, and it usually seems like the worst time for it to hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were saying, I'm dealing with an injury. I ruptured my Achilles on June 8th, so about 7 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it wouldn't be as bad if I could handle it like an average person could handle it.
Right.
But because my Crohn's, I can't take any pain meds. I didn't get surgery on it. And I'm essentially having to operate and run a gym without being able to be there.
Right.
And the gym is heavily emphasized of having a trainer, a qualified trainer in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
But what can you do other than roll with the punches, pun intended? And especially because I'm in the gym in a wheelchair rolling.
Literally
with the punches.
Hey, you have perfected the 360 though. I
like
do give that to you, man. I'm like, Jesus Christ. How long you been in that fucking thing? You're over here doing fucking wheelies and shit.
But yeah, no, just dealing with a ruptured Achilles. I actually get an MRI this Wednesday. I'll get more information on it. But yeah, man, it's just.
So what's the deal with not being able to take antibiotics? What does that do to your stomach?
So my intestinal lining is super sensitive. And
I guess just real quick, you know, for people, if they're new watching you have Crohn's.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease 2 years ago. And if you haven't seen my documentary, that'll do a good job justifying and explaining kind of how I live with it.
Fantastic documentary.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the intestinal lining, when you have any form of IBD, which is inflammatory bowel disease.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are probably familiar with celiac. Celiac is going to be where you're allergic to gluten. Crohn's is just a severe form. I like to just tell people it's a severe form of IBD, and my intestines are just super sensitive to any sort of incoming stimuli. So when I take opiates, when I take any antibiotics, anything that's going to change essentially the environment and chemistry of my intestinal lining, let alone when it gets into my colon, I have a flare up, which causes my intestines to essentially shut down. And yeah, it's an allergic reaction, to simply say it.
You know, in the jiu-jitsu community, there's a guy named Gordon Ryan, which I'm sure you've heard of. He deals with the same thing. And I wonder what he's doing to manage that, because he has almost the same type of symptoms as you. Have you ever looked into him?
I don't think he has Crohn's.
I know he takes steroids, and I understand everyone likes to blame that on that, but which kind of I don't think so, because if that was the case, all these bodybuilders would be dealing with the same sort of symptoms. But I think it was from the amount of ringworm and staph they get from the mats. Mm-hmm. And he dealt with it a lot, especially in the gym that they were training out of. It was like basically in a basement, not getting much sunlight.
Oh, dude.
So you're on antibiotics for like a year straight. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's got to fuck you up.
So your intestines, namely your colon, is where your gut microbiome is. And I'm sure like health people have heard that to some capacity. And your gut microbiome is essentially a microbiome, meaning like an environment in which microbial life exists. It's within your intestines, namely your colon, where if you take an antibiotic, you're essentially nuking all of those bacteria. Antibiotic.
It's killing good and bad.
Right. And most people, especially when you eat like trash, when you eat junk, you change the environment of that microbiota, of the type of bacteria that's actually in your colon, that's in your intestines. And so if I had to assume, I'm assuming he was eating like trash, especially being a high-performing athlete who was on testosterone. He was on supplements that allowed his body to recover and heal in a way that...
Oh, he was on more than that.
No doubt. Yeah. But I'm just saying he was on performance-enhancing drugs that caused him, I'm assuming, to feel as impervious as a lot of young athletes feel, especially when they're approaching their nutrition and dietary standard.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it when you were in high school, bro. I mean, probably not even that long ago, because I know if I didn't get diagnosed with Crohn's not that long ago, I was in the same boat, thinking I could eat whatever I want, overloading on sugar, not even caring about the ingredients that are in certain foods I'm consuming.
Right.
And that is the catalyst. From all the experts' opinions, that's the catalyst to all of these newfound autoimmune diseases, because they didn't exist 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself, why are they now existing? Why have they exponentially been on the rise, especially in the last 50 years?
Yeah, I know there's always a debate on like the autism and all these other stuff. Like they're like with pharmaceutical drugs. They're like, why are these things ramping up? Like, but they try to hide behind, we know how to diagnose it now, which I could see some, but I mean, the amount, like the drastic shift, if you were to put it on a graph, I just don't know if that's all can be considered. Just that, we have better technology and better ways to diagnose these things. Oh, maybe it's our food too.
Maybe it's just the environment. I mean, you got to go the RFK route and talk about the implication of vaccines, which my parents shot me up with everything, you know?
I know.
So I don't.
But then how do you know what not, like do you really have to do a deep dive? Because there's some shots that I had to opt out of, because they just weren't necessary, or they could wait until they get a little bit older instead of giving you all these shots at one fucking time for an infant.
But the idea is upon birth, as soon as they're born, how much of these are actually necessary? And I'm not a vax guy. I'm not anti-vax. I'm not pro-vax. I don't really have skin in the game on that.
You're front. Like me. Do whatever you feel is best for you.
Legit. And it's the same thing with nutritional science, though. It's like people will get caught up in the analysis paralysis of all the information that's out there. And you could find any social media influencer to convince you of what you want to be true.
Right.
And that's the hardest part. Like, a lot of people don't know how to read studies. A lot of people don't really know. They don't know basic factoids in any certain field to then have a substantial opinion to build on top of it. I think politics is one of the most obvious. It's like, how many people will just read the news or read a headline and then think they're educated and never actually read the acts or the proposals that are trying to be passed? Like how often are people actually reading into the nuanced information? And I just think
it's hard when it's 1,000 pages.
100%. It's even harder
or
when
an 88-page study.
Right.
We talked about that on one of the other podcasts. I had a guy on that came on to debate Patrick Tuohy's episode on whether or not stadiums create a beneficial or a positive economic impact being moved from one location to another. And this fucking guy texted me, Casey, real cool guy, and he read 2 88-page studies. Like, I was like, Jesus, I told him, I was like, you didn't throw that shit in ChatGPT and just get a summarized version or read the consensus on that study? And he's like, no, I read the whole thing. And he's like, this is why these studies aren't issues, because like, who is really reading these? And are these think tanks even reading them?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or are they just kind of getting the cliff notes
and parroting the information
of what their colleagues are saying? And
bro, it's methodology. If you can look at the methodology of any study, that in and of itself will pretty much qualify the rigor and the substantial output of whatever that study is trying to express. And methodology is going to be, for example, over 900 studies were done, or I think it was actually like 890, close to 900, that all demonized red meat as causing cancer.
Yeah.
Of those close to 900, only 14 of them had a significant enough of a p-value, which is a significant enough of an output to qualify a conclusion. Mm-hmm. And of those 14, every single one of them qualified lasagna, pizza, ham and cheese sandwiches, a cheeseburger with the buns. They qualified all of those as red meat.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Right. So the methodological standards that surrounded those studies are in and of themselves compromised. Mm-hmm. So how can you take anything from those studies? And anytime I'm on social media and I see people parrot a lot of these outdated nutritional science concepts, it's usually a litmus test for how up to date they are in their nutritional understanding.
Yeah. And I'm following this one guy right now on Instagram, and he goes to these like supermarkets or gas stations to show you like what's in these and what like this food and what do these chemicals mean in the back of the ingredients. Bro, it's baffling to me. Like even things that you would think that are not like that are promoted healthy. And I understand like energy drinks, they're a big deal. Everyone uses them. I use them, you know.
I don't.
I know. You're fucking.
I got Crohn's though, bro.
Fuck this guy. Yeah, if you did it, you would fucking be drinking them too.
I didn't drink them before Crohn's. But anyway.
But Celsius is kind of like promoted the healthier energy drink version. But he even did a breakdown, which I haven't got to see yet because they sued him for it. And it's weird because Monster, he talks shit about Monster all day long. And it's not even shit, just speaking the truth of what's in these products. And he's never gotten sued by Monster. So Monster's just like, yeah, we know, we're giving you guys shit. But Celsius is going after him. And I want to be able to see that video. I can't find it. And to see what the breakdown is. Because like, it is true. Like some of the shit on the back, like it doesn't seem harmful until you look it up and find out it's some like unnecessary additive or preservative or, you know, like, and then not only this is what baffled my mind. I didn't know that our country, and I don't know a lot about this. So, I mean, other people look this shit up, but like they go off a single dosage on some of these studies. On the effects.
Yeah, the RDA and the serving size stuff is a big way that they corrupt the ability to market a lot of these items.
But like, I want to know the study of what happens 5 years of consuming this product.
But they'll never be able to substantiate a lot of that.
Because of money, right? That would be very costly.
You can't do human randomized control trials on things that could potentially kill humans, essentially. There's an ethical red line that prevents certain human trials and certain human studies from being conducted, which is why a lot of what people try to throw out the window that are animal studies, especially in most recent studies that have to do with updated nutritional science, they will always substantiate it as, but there wasn't any human randomized controlled trials. It's like, yeah, well, how are you going to have a vegan and a true carnivore sit in a nutritional, a hospital ward on trying to see the long-term effects of one diet over the other? There's ethical parameters in place that prevent certain conclusions from being drawn from studies.
Yeah, because who knows what they're doing outside? You know what I mean? So are they really sticking to the study, or are they, when they leave here, that vegetarian's going to go eat McDonald's?
Well, that's where a lot of these studies, even though they are randomized control trials, it's about the methodology. It's about what are you actually, you give one person a ketogenic diet and one person a vegan diet. And the conclusion will say the vegan diet has better health outcomes when you realize the ketogenic people are just eating less carbs, but they're still usually eating over 100 grams of carbs, which isn't ketogenic.
Right.
Bro, I'm not even, this can kind of go into that guest you had on that was talking about fats not being able to produce energy and carbs being essentially. And it's like the inability to conduct studies pales in comparison to the ability to define the actual mechanisms scientifically from a biology and a metabolic standpoint. So if you know the actual metabolism and how the science of the metabolism works, you don't necessarily need to have the outcome of those particular studies, because you can infer based off of the mechanisms in place, which a lot of scientists hate the idea of mechanistic approaches, but you can make inferences in a domain that you'll never be able to actually conduct studies on, namely when it comes down to certain human randomized control trials.
Yeah, you're talking about Caleb, right? From Body Shop.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I remember you had him on and you were...
Yeah, I got his stuff pulled up right here. I remember, and like I told you...
from my understanding, before we play it, it was him saying a lot of his demonization of ketogenic approaches has to do with glycogen reuptake and gluconeogenesis in the ability for the body to substantially replenish itself from the glucose, from either glucose or glycogen, which is either actively used carbs in the form of glucose or stored carbs in the form of glycogen. He was saying that from a bodybuilding or a athlete competition competing standpoint, that we know for a fact carbs are still better, and we don't. But the core reason why one side can't make a confident assessment over the other is because we don't have enough information yet.
Right.
Kinesiology has only been around about 150 years, and nutritional science has been around less than 100 years. So we gotta be weary about how any of us are approaching dogmatizing certain thoughts and concepts, especially when we're in a position of authority and people are looking at us as a person as an authoritative figure, as a person of substantial credibility to give out information. Right. We just have to be weary of that.
Yeah, instead of saying my way is the right way, right, because we don't really know.
We don't really know. But what I know as somebody who has worked with hundreds of people in person over the last 10 years and thousands of people, including the people that I've worked with online, I've had enough N equals ones of, meaning I've had enough people get results from something we don't have enough studies for, that for me, the people's lives being changed is all the evidence I really need.
It's almost like you're running your own trials at your gym.
And I've never had somebody approach a true ketogenic metabolic therapeutic diet and not get the results they were looking for. I just never have had it.
Let's pull this up real quick.
Yeah.
Let's see this. I was eating so much rice. Like I was eating like fucking 2 cups of rice a day. So it's like
that's just not that much though.
That's not that much?
No, and it's like
it just depends on the individual too. Do you think?
Does, yeah. And like the more muscle you have, the more you can eat and things like that. But it's like when you cut that out of the way, it's like eventually you have to add it back in. It's like you can't just
pause it.
Yeah, you lost 50.
Main thing he said though right there is that again, dogmatizing the idea of, and how you use words is just very important, but dogmatizing the idea of you will eventually have to add that back in.
Right.
You will eventually have to eat carbs. It implies that these carbs, these exogenous dietary carbs, are essential. And my biggest thing when I talk to people is just thinking about the logic of it. When you have your 3 macronutrients, carbs, fats, and protein, of those 3 macronutrients, only 2 of them are essential. What does that mean? The idea of dietary essentialism means your body cannot produce it, so you have to get it from an outside source. So of those 3, only 2 of them your body cannot produce and you need from an outside source. And those 2 are essential amino acids from proteins and essential fatty acids from dietary fats. There is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. Your body, and this is again, without messing around with the timestamps and everything, I remember at one point he had said, fats cannot produce or fats cannot undergo the process of gluconeogenesis.
Fats cannot convert to glucose. Glucose is what drives the body. Now, proteins can convert to glucose through glucose neogenesis, where they break down and they can convert to glucose.
And all that means is glucose, carbs, new, genesis is the formation of. So gluconeogenesis, and that's what's funny is people think words are like complex, but deep down, if you break down the etymology of them, the actual breakdown of them in sequence, you can almost figure out what any word means based off its Latin or Greek origin.
Yeah, I was about to say, doesn't that always like refer back to religion almost? Because Genesis.
Well, it's just, it refers back to language, and then certain words in languages are used for certain religious contexts. So Genesis just means the formation of.
But isn't that what it is in the Bible as well?
Yeah, it's the formation of existence. Exactly. Yeah. So it really Genesis from the Hebrew, we're going on a tangent and then you go back to nutrition, but this is, this is my real nerd.
Yeah.
Genesis from the Hebrew was originally pronounced Bereshit or Bereshit, which in the Hebrew script is just the first 3 words or the first few words of that book. So Bereshit just means in the beginning. So, and this was a thing a lot of ancient cultures used to do back in the day. Man, what's the term called? It's called an incipit. An incipit, that is, I haven't read that word in like 10 years. An incipit is any title of a book or any title of a writing that is just using the first few words of that book or of that writing. So Bereshit is an incipit of in the beginning that once it got translated into Greek, into Latin, and eventually into English, the term Genesis was spawned from that concept of in the beginning, the formation of. Anyway, yeah, I would love to spend more time on that stuff. But
that shit does baffle my mind though. Like where we get language from and the origination and like how all these words kind of line up.
Dude, that's a whole.
I remember going into like a Jordan Maxwell deep dive on when he discussed like all that stuff.
Yeah. So point is,
I'll pull this up. Yeah.
Gluconeogenesis. The idea of that is the ability to create glucose in the body without dietary glucose, exogenous glucose being put in. So what that means is 3 macronutrients, only 2 of them are essential. Glucose or carbs aren't essential. Why? Because with fats and proteins, you can create endogenous glucose through transforming them into that glucotic form. And he was trying to say that fats can't undergo gluconeogenesis, which is a flat out lie.
Have we got to that yet?
Not yet. I don't even know what time. I don't think this is the same timestamp that he's going to say it. But before we get into it, I just want to. Before we get into it, I want to finish that point because it's crucial. It goes back to the idea of don't confidently espouse things unless you have the information at hand, to at least caveat it with "I think" or "I'm not sure."
Right.
Because I know for a fact you have 2 metabolic pathways to produce energy, and when triglycerides, think about the word triglyceride. A triglyceride is just a glycerol. It's like a fatty molecule that is attached with 3 fatty acids. And so when fats undergo what's known as lipolysis, it breaks apart the free-falling or the free-floating fatty acids from that glycerol molecule. But triglyceride is just a fat. That glycerol molecule will quite literally go through this process where it eventually goes to the liver and then turns into glucose. It goes through gluconeogenesis. So it's when we get to the nuance of things like that a lot of nutritionists, personal trainers, and health experts will confidently espouse information that they may not be wrong on. In this case, it's blatantly wrong because glycerol molecule from a triglyceride literally turns into glucose via gluconeogenesis. They are likely incomplete in the information they're espousing. Because when I was watching it, and you were doing such a good job trying to defend me, bro, and then you're almost feeling gaslit because you're like, but didn't Mitch say? And I'm not here to be able to substantiate where you're.
Well, and I also respect, too, that he probably has his own trials from his gym of training guys. Because if you look at some of the guys he's trained, I mean, their physiques are incredible.
But this goes back to a whole host of other factors. What kind of are any of them on gear? Are any of them
for sure?
But that's a big component, bro. Because when you're putting endogenous chemicals in your body, the baseline way in which science and bioenergeticists would approach metabolism, or the way in which your body turns stuff into other stuff and utilizes certain nutrients, it's a different ballgame. Because of the enhancement, and so. Yeah, if you're on gear and you're on testosterone, the way in which your body's even going to burn fat is different. And so the idea of high insulin, which that's a conversation hopefully we can get into today in terms of the biggest issue with people's health has to do with insulin. When you're on certain supplements and certain exogenous chemicals, your body is going to do things differently. And in such a way where if the average person tries to follow the protocol, I was that kid that used to follow Greg Plitt and what was the dude that injected synthol in his arms that ended up dying? Tatted up, black haired dude. Come on, he's like Rich Piana.
Rich Piana? Oh, yeah.
Kali Muscle when he was saying
he'd drink a Bud Light as he's doing bench pressing and shit.
I would follow all of their advice as a 14, 15-year-old, not qualifying how their approach is going to affect me in a different way because I'm first of all 15 and I'm not on all these exogenous chemicals. So
I get that. You want to finish this real
quick?
Let's
see what you're saying.
Like the more muscle you have, the more you can eat and things like that. But it's like when you cut that out of the way, it's like eventually you have to add it back in. It's like you can't just like, you lost 15 pounds. But
I'm eating more fattier meats.
It's going to stop.
To get that, that energy, I guess, that you're getting from the carbs.
But they don't work in the same pathway, right?
Positive. So like that being a point of contention, but they don't work in the same pathway. Of course they don't. Like he's not wrong on that. There's 2 ways to get energy: through the glycolytic pathway, which is turning carbs and glucose into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the actual energy molecule. It's not calories. So when I talk to people about recalibrating their energy levels, essentially. It's not worrying about calories. It's worrying about how to produce sufficient amount of ATP. So he's not wrong on that. You have the glycolytic pathway and you have the lipolytic pathway. So he's not wrong saying that they're two different pathways. Okay. But the idea that you need that glycolytic pathway to A, make a sufficient amount of energy, or B, be able to operate at your most efficient capacity, whether it's maintaining muscle mass, fat loss, any of those things, he's not wrong. They are two different pathways. But you don't need you don't need the glycolytic pathway to substantiate a certain health standard as long as you're getting enough of the fats, which is what you were trying to defend, through having adequate energy levels. And my question is to you, without even having his expertise or my expertise, how did you feel changing your diet, decreasing the carbs and sugars, and increasing the fat and protein?
Well, I told you, I seen a drastic change, whenever that happened.
And that's all I tell people to qualify.
But when I did start incorporating a little more carbs back into my diet, I did notice a little bit of spike in energy though. But that might be me as well. I'm not eating enough fatty meats.
Right. I would be willing to bet you weren't just consuming enough dietary fats to rebalance out your body's ability to make adequate energy, essentially. Yeah. That just takes time.
That's why I can't be one of those studies. You know what I mean? Because I'm not sticking to it. And I'll admit that I have no problem. Like, being able to stick, like when I got rid of all the carbs out of my diet, I dropped weight like that. Like, especially in my midsection, it felt like the inflammation went down a lot.
Bloating, all that.
Yeah. But then when I started incorporating it back, but like I said, it may be because I'm not getting enough fatty red meats.
And bro, I am not telling people they got to go keto, because deep down, if you were to go carnivore or pure keto, every human...
Keto is a little bit of carbs, isn't it? Or no?
Yeah, keto. So the difference is carnivore is going to be pure zero carbs, absolutely no endogenous carbs whatsoever. Keto is you limit it to 20 to 50 grams a day.
Yeah, low carb diet.
Low carb diet, yeah. And man, I don't think people have to, because again, I got to compromise with all of my clients, right? Especially my clients that are vegan. When you educate people, you can essentially leverage the tools you educate them on, or the tools that you're giving them through the education, on utilizing those tools when they need to.
Right.
And that's why I said it earlier. I leverage a ketogenic metabolic therapeutic diet for people as therapy for their metabolism.
Right.
What I'm doing is decreasing their hyperinsulin production, which is a fat storage hormone, which is the real reason why a lot of these diseases are on the rise, is because of what's known as insulin resistance, a lack of insulin sensitivity. When you can decrease people's physiological response to things that they have otherwise felt and thought was just normal, you can again turn on certain things in their body that weren't turned on, like the lipolytic fat burning pathway, and you can tone down certain parts of their body that have been chronically hyperactivated, like hyperinsulinemia and having high blood sugar and high blood pressure. And when you can calibrate those two things, you can find a more healthy, balanced, sustainable standard where you could even eat upwards of 100 carbs a day. That's then when it comes down to food quality, the quality of the food.
That's one thing I have noticed though. And we've talked about this before, since I have been paying a lot more attention to my diet. Now here recently, I've kind of fell off, got injured, kind of got into a deep fucking hole. I need to get out of that. I am. Dom, don't judge me.
Is it the back pain?
Yeah, the fucking lower back shit.
You knew somebody that could help you.
I know. And I have been doing your stuff. I've been doing the hip stuff thing you showed me. Remember last time you were on the podcast?
You got to do the posture stretches, bro.
Well, I have a whole PT list. I'll show you before you leave.
You're also doing McGill's things,
yeah,
right?
The McGill's, but also I have another one as well I'm doing, because I've only been sticking to PT for the last, I think this is the 4th week now.
Well, I'm going to know a thing or two about PT, bro.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you ain't lying. But yeah, I've been sticking to that. I stopped working out completely for the last, I think it's almost 2 months, or a month and a half, 2 months. And the rolling I've had to cut out completely. I've been trying to drill once or twice a week. And this week I didn't do shit. But when you get into that funk, you tend to start eating bad. Once you start, your whole routines are off, So that's what I'm having to deal with right now.
Imagine having Crohn's and you don't even have that decision.
Yeah.
Because when this happened, I couldn't take pain meds and I couldn't indulge in free dopamine from food.
I know.
But anyway, keep going.
Imagine.
Not trying to be a victim. I'm just like giving you perspective.
No, you're right. I couldn't imagine. Yeah. Because I'd probably be in the fucking hospital too.
I wish I could. All I wanted to, first day, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the first day I came back first day I was held up after rupturing my Achilles, my fiance had some banana bread that was gluten-free because she's celiac. And I was thinking, well, at least it's gluten-free. let me just try a piece, and had a Crohn's flare up.
Yeah.
And I couldn't risk dealing with a ruptured Achilles and a Crohn's flare up.
And a Crohn's flare up. Yeah. Fuck
But,
that. Sounds miserable.
So you're saying though that
Well, what I'm saying is that whenever I had my diet cleared up, like when I had a routine going for a while, everything was great. I noticed that like I could handle other foods that I was fitting in that weren't as healthy, but my body could handle them. When before, like, run to the bathroom type shit, you know what I mean? And you don't really notice that when you're in that funk for a while, when you're eating like shit, you're just like, oh, this is just how I operate.
That's 90% of Americans,
I know,
though, bro.
That's fucking sad. And now that I've been able to see both sides, my story, didn't take care of myself for a long time, ended up trying to get my life turned back around. But I'm seeing it. And even now that I'm in this funk, the 2 months I've been in it, like I feel nasty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, I went over 10 years feeling like this.
You said it so perfect because people don't realize how good they can feel.
Right.
And
until you have it.
Until you have it, which means they don't realize how shitty they currently feel, even if they think they feel good.
And it's almost like, like when you're in maybe nothing's going right in your life, maybe you got a shit relationship or a shit job or whatever it may be, you're just used to it. So then when things start coming around for you, you don't even know how to handle it. Let's say you get a new girlfriend, new boyfriend. They're fucking amazing. You get a good fucking job and you're almost like, is something about to happen? Because this is not normal. You know what I mean?
What usually happens in those situations?
They revert back.
And why is that?
Because they're not comfortable with it.
Because it's going back to what was comfortable.
That's how we are as human beings.
It's the path of least resistance.
Habit.
Well, how about this? Entropy and the laws of quantum dynamics qualify that the path of least resistance is how all of existence works.
Yeah.
Everything, especially living creatures.
Yeah, just like deer. Like when I go hunting, like they'll even show you, they're going to take the pathway of least resistance. The path of least resistance.
Yeah. And so as humans, and this is why I think we need Adriano in here. Shout out Adriano. This is why I think the loss and lack of religious adherence is so deleterious to our society, let alone the individual, because you don't realize how special you are as a human to fight that urge of the path of least resistance. And because we live in such a soft ass society nowadays, it's too easy and too convenient to choose the path of least resistance. And one of my biggest jobs this is the role and responsibility I take on, and why I've been so successful with all of my clients, is because I give them the choice of choosing degeneracy.
Right.
I don't say you have to do this, you have to do that. I say, do you want to be better? Yes. Do you want to lose 30? Really, for most people, it's 20 to 50 pounds of weight. Do you really want to lose that? Yes. Do you want to be healthier for your kids? Yes. That's usually the biggest one for people. Okay. You have the choice to go the path of least resistance, but realize how selfish that is in light of all of the people that depend on you to choose the harder route for them to have a better life.
Right.
Because deep down, if we all decided, I don't want to go into work today, none of us would have a job. If we all decided, I don't feel like doing XYZ today, none of us would be able to thrive. And so when you can accept that fundamentally, that you'll always have the choice to choose the path of least resistance, it makes it less burdensome. And in fact, it gives you more control because you're now more intentional about choosing the harder route.
Or even this, bro, like to all the fathers and even the mothers too, they need to hear this. How many times I hear I'd die for my kids.
But will you live for them?
Yeah. Like, will you change your fucking habits to be able to live there and be there for them? And I know everyone thinks that's corny to say, like, oh God, it's not that bad. What? I eat out 5 times a week or whatever it may be. Yeah. But what's going to happen in 20 years or 30 years? And you're facing all these different diagnoses and you're having to take all these pills and you're running out of money and like the little things, you know what I mean? Well, my kids will be grown by then. Like, you don't think you're going to want to still be there for them as an adult, bro, or your grandchildren, or you know what I mean? But and we don't think that far, and we don't see that a lot of people die in their fucking 60s and 50s from obesity, from smoking, from drinking. I mean, just all sorts. Cancer is all fucking on.
Which didn't really exist a couple hundred
on the
years
rise,
ago. Yeah.
Dude. I mean, I feel like everybody just dies from cancer. Like, that's how you're going to go out.
I think all of these increased causes of mortality are a byproduct of that path of least resistance, our society getting so good, our food getting so cheap, and people getting so ignorant that.
And we're not talking cost cheap. We're just talking cheaply made, right?
Cheaply made, yeah. Because that's the thing. But here's where the nuance is, bro. It's like you're in 1930s Great Depression America. You're in the Dust Bowl, and you have. I used to have a bar back in the day when I was like 15. I was like, I got a dry sense of humor. Call that shit the Dust Bowl. So every time I say the Dust Bowl reference, I just think of that. But you're in an environment where people are starving and the powers that be are seemingly trying to rectify the fall of their society, which is usually from not having enough food.
Right.
And so when you have the beginning of what has now been, in hindsight, the cause of a lot of these diseases, when you have the beginning of mass industrial farming, I really do feel like it was for the right intention. But now that we know better, the intention is almost irrelevant because the consequences of whatever that initial intention was has now poisoned millions of people.
Well, it's almost the same, right? Having not enough food and having too much food are almost the same outcome.
Well, I think if you're starving, you would much rather, and this goes out to all the third world countries and the people that are living under these conditions still currently, and we can get into the whole Gaza stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, people would much rather have trash bunk food that's going to at least allow them to see another day and have some energy to walk rather than being starving and having nothing.
I mean, like the effects of it. Like,
but that's where
we're having death of overeating and we're having death of not eating enough.
I agree. It's almost like this Gaussian distribution, this bell curve of two extremes where one is not eating enough and one is overeating. And you do make a good point because who said it? Somebody said the other day, how do we live in the richest country in the world we live in the richest country in the world where our poorest people are our fattest.
Yeah, I said that one time on a podcast too.
Maybe it was you. Maybe you slipped into my subconscious.
Maybe, bro. Maybe. You listening to T-BAP at night?
Before
you go to sleep?
Yeah, I actually do sometimes.
No, bro. I mean, I
let you also get views and stuff, bro.
I appreciate that, bro. Keep farming them for me.
Like, comment, subscribe, everybody.
But no, really, it's true, man. Like, we live in one of the most richest, technologically advanced era,
richest technologically advanced era.
And yet we're fucking the most unhealthiest. It's insane.
So going back, I don't know how much we want to keep playing off of.
Oh yeah, if you want to finish it out, we can finish.
We don't really necessarily have to. I think I made my point.
Okay. Was there anything after this that he said to kind of give more defense to himself? Because
if you want,
let's just play another minute. Let's see where it goes.
By the way, Caleb, I am by no means, if you're listening to this, trying to say you don't know what you're talking about. You haven't been effective in helping people change their lives. I'm by no means trying to diminish the qualifications you have as a health guy. Mm-hmm. But we have to be weary. And I, as a person who owns my own gym, as a person who owns my own business outside of the gym. So we also have another business where I do virtual personal training. It's called Core Personal Training, which I won't even really get into all that.
But I've sat in one of those with you, and when you've helped me, and I mean,
we'll spend 4 hours talking.
Yeah, the amount of education that you've given, man, like just for you to be able to break everything down, you know what I mean? And for a layman's term for the individual, that I think that's what's beneficial too. Not saying he doesn't do that as well. Surely he does. But like you said, there's different. It's just different. And
he was being,
you know what I mean? Like
he was being very nice and respectful to your saying, but Mitch said. So I don't want to make this up.
No,
Mitchell versus Caleb thing.
He's not going to take it like that. He's a cool dude. All right, we'll play the rest of this.
Stimulate the metabolism, stimulate the thyroid. So it's like think about like rice or carb would be kind of like the gas pedal, right? They kind of help things go. Mm-hmm. They're the fuel, right? So it's like when my thyroid is feeling downregulated, or I have athletes who's like their body fat is like stalling.
Yeah.
Why are their body fat stalling?
Getting downregulation. Well, I'm going to rest them and I'm going to feed them pure carbohydrates to get them fed back up. Get the body kicking again, spitting the gas out to the gas pedal, and then us just bring the carbs right back.
And this will be, I think, one of the last things, because he's deep down making great points. And in a specific niche case where people are so hyperinsulinemic, meaning they have so much insulin, which again stores fat, which means you then can't burn fat. Mm-hmm. If you're super hyperinsulinemic and you literally can't access the fat storages and you decrease your carbs, where are you getting your energy?
Not to... I don't know anything about this shit compared to you guys, but I'm just going to ask normal ass dude questions. Do you think his route, like his method of how he goes about training his clients, is maybe not getting to the root of why these problems are occurring, but he's giving a pathway still to be able to get to the level that he's getting his clients to, but he's just maybe not, and probably because he knows most people probably aren't going to do it. You know what I mean?
Well, he said fat doesn't turn into glucose in terms of the glycerol molecule being able to undergo gluconeogenesis. So I think a lot of what
because he's having good, but like we've discussed,
he's having good results and stuff for sure.
Because they may be doing other things. You know what I mean?
How about this? I'll steel man the answer to, I think the curious question you're proposing, the curious question you're curating.
Because I think you both are right, but I think you just have a different method of.
How about this? Exactly.
Like you're getting to the root and he's getting close to it, but not really. And then just kind of providing a solution.
Veganism will make you healthy if you're eating a standard American diet.
Okay. Right. Because you're getting rid of all the processed foods. Yeah.
But is that the optimal route is the question.
Well, yeah, because they've had arguments about that. We've heard the Rogan arguments on that.
You can't get vitamin K. You can't get L-carnitine. You can't get vitamin B12.
The reason why vegetarian or vegan looks so healthy is because
it's in light of the unhealthy standard American diet.
Exactly.
Yeah. So exactly. So yes,
but look at a study of somebody who's on a vegan diet for 10 years.
How about?
And what are his levels at, or he or she levels at, and are they lacking some nutrients that they need?
Well, it's not even are they. Guaranteed they are unless they're supplementing. The vegan diet fundamentally you cannot get vitamin B12 from plants. You need it from an animal. Same with L-carnitine.
Is vitamin B12? I know that's vitamin B12 to get your energy.
Yeah, it's one of the most important ones, bro.
Yeah, because a lot of them, I don't know too many of them, but from what I've seen and heard, take it for a grain of salt, they have a lot of low energy, because of that diet.
I literally have helped 5 different vegans who were vegans for over 10 years. Like each of them were vegan. One of them was a vegan for 8 years, but all of them were vegans for 8+ years. Every single one of them had bad energy levels, bad energy standards, had a bad sleep-wake schedule, and were able to learn the necessary supplemental protocols they'd have to undergo if they're going to maintain that lifestyle, which B12 is just the biggest one. Yeah. But again, it goes back to the idea of if you're eating something, vegan diet, that is making you healthier than where you were, is that bad? I don't think so. Where I think it's bad is when you undereducate the individuals to where they're not prepared when they inevitably fall back to the path of least resistance.
Right.
Because they didn't learn and change those fundamental habitual behaviors because they weren't educated on the necessity to change those fundamental habitual behaviors. So they 9 times out of 10 will yo-yo back.
And diets are kind of cultish sometimes too.
Agreed. But the carnivore community is mad cultish, which is why I try to separate myself from.
And the vegetarian community as well.
Well, here's the thing. I think the carnivore community being cultish, it has I think it's almost like the political Antifa Proud Boys thing, right?
Right.
Carnivore in their dogmatic cultish nature is in response to the dogmatic cultish nature of the vegans. They need each other, yeah. And the problem is, bro, and Ben Bickman, shout out Ben Bickman, who is the leading expert on metabolism. He makes a good point with the immorality of certain dietary approaches at certain stages of people's lives. So I know people personally that have their kids on a pure vegan diet, which you then have to ask yourself,
is that going to stump their growth?
Not only is it going to, at what point will it be revealed that their growth has been stunted?
Yeah, but we let the American standard diet, and that's almost in a sense of abuse as well.
But I'm wondering how much essential fatty acids they at least have in their diet to help with their brain development.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Vegans fundamentally have a higher increase in anxiety, depression, and suicidality when compared to their other cohorts. And the brain size, I don't want to confidently say that this was a study or if they were cadavers that were cut up and identified and analyzed, but there was a anecdote that a professor of was he a professor of nutritional science or was he a professor of bioenergetics? And Ben Bickman essentially like qualified and substantiate this dude's claim, which is they just have smaller brains. Vegans have smaller brains.
That's crazy.
And again, bro, it's like your epiphany of realizing, yeah, the standard American diet is trash, but there may be some nutrients that are still in there that aren't in these other approaches.
But does smaller brain mean lower IQ?
I don't really.
That's a whole rabbit hole. No, just because I'm in this whole, for some reason, my algorithm right now has
IQ stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a book that.
Well, it's not IQ. It's more of the origination.
Is that the book?
No, the origination of human beings and how their brains, at different time periods were bigger or smaller.
Yeah.
But like, some of them lived longer and were able to figure it out better than some. Like there was one era where it was like they said the worst era to live through. Like you made it to if you made it to 21, you were fucking old.
Right.
Like that's wild, bro. Like everything was trying to kill you. Everything was fucking huge. I don't remember what period of time it was, but it was fascinating. When they break down their skull, how big their skulls were. And
I think it's phrenology is technically the term of the study of like the size of the brain in the skull. Point is, I mean, bro, you even mentioning brain sizes. They think human brains got to where they were from Homo erectus by cooking meat, essentially, by the nutrients they were able to get from their carnivorous lifestyle, at least their carnivorous, the prominence of their carnivorous tendencies.
What about the fungi as well? Have you heard of that study? I think Rogan's talked about it. Where they said like the brain development happened after the introduction of
shrooms and stuff.
Yeah, fungi.
The stoned ape hypothesis.
Yeah.
I don't that and the aquatic ape hypothesis. There's a bunch of these hypotheses that, in my opinion, when you go down the rabbit hole of
it's all theory though, right?
Exactly. But when you go down to the rabbit hole of the details within those theories, I think that's almost futile compared to the substantial hypotheses that we, for the most part, have a solid grasp and understanding on, such as bioenergetics, metabolism, the way our bodies, we know how our bodies currently work, irrespective of what we hypothesize of how they could have gotten here.
Right.
I think it matters where we're at. That's what matters, is where we're at. Same thing with the food. I don't care if their intentions were good when they were mass farming and trying to do all this stuff. I could care less if they were being holistic or if they were legit just being evil. I could care less.
Right.
All I care about is the consequences we're having to face now. And how do we get ourselves out of those deleterious consequences?
Right. No, I agree.
But
you done with this?
Let's keep it rocking. Let's get it rocking. Let's see what else he's got.
But you can get that from fatty red meats, right? Too, from the fats in red meats.
No, because they're different pathways. Yeah. So it's like the carbs is what's going to be the fuel, where the fat is going to work for like the cholesterol, the hormone health, and like you do have triglyceride storage right within the muscle, but fats cannot convert to glucose. Glucose is what drives the body.
So again, bro, I'm not trying to be that guy.
No, all we're
Somebody
doing
has
is,
to be.
I know you don't have to say that. I promise. I vouch for you. I vouch for him. You guys are both cool dudes. If you guys met each other, you guys would hit it off.
I think we'd have a good conversation.
Yeah, I think a lot of it
is lack of information.
I think this is needed. We're seeing it a lot. It's not like we're doing anything different than what we're seeing.
Right.
These conversations need to happen.
Right.
Because this is where growth comes out of.
Agreed.
For both of you.
Agreed.
And I bet if you got both of you guys together, you guys may learn something from each other.
I can learn a lot from them.
That's what I'm saying. Sure. Like, that's why I don't look at these as like starting beef or like downing anybody else. And we'll stop saying this after I say this. But like, I think this is good for education for everybody who's listening, you guys, everybody.
I think having counter points and counter perspectives in the think tank of arguing just the fact of the matter of where both sides may be right, but also being able to expose where both sides may also be wrong.
Right.
I think that's the only way you make growth, and the only way our society has gotten to where it's at.
Because when you hide away from it, like we're seeing in like with Graham Hancock and the people that he has to deal with. I'm just using him as an example of where people are trying to discredit or not want to even sit and debate or have a conversation.
That's where I agree. That's whack.
That's where it's like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Even though Graham Hancock, low key, I got a signed book from him where he says, just wrote my name and everything. And I used to be a big Graham Hancock fan. But at the end of the day, I'm Flint Dibble. I'm Team Flint Dibble.
Hey, but what I'm saying is like when I see
the
people
conversation is just necessary.
not wanting to have the conversation,
that's the scary part, bro.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing it in politics today. We're seeing it in
why are you hiding information?
Yeah. Why are you hiding? And why aren't you at least willing? Well, I'm not a debater. You don't have to be a debater. If you're going on YouTube or whatever it is, and you're conveying a message, just do the same thing in front of the person who's opposing that message. And then let's let the audience decide.
So I'll say this. One part of what he said from what I remember was the idea that carbs being the gas pedal and you saying, but I'm getting my energy from fatty meats. And he said, it doesn't work that way. It's a different pathway. Where he is right is, and this is where I tell people, especially with fasting, when you're dealing with somebody, 9 out of 10 people. So I can assume when I have somebody in front of me, just based off how they look, where the protocol needs to at least initiate and start. When I'm dealing with, I used to do this back in the day. I used to tell people to fast all the time and they wouldn't get results. And I didn't know why they weren't getting the results.
Right.
When you're unable to unlock and utilize the fat burning pathway, which is called lipolysis, he's not wrong in that it's a different pathway. You need glucose to maintain your energy levels. He's not wrong on that front, but it's only because of the body's current state of being hyperinsulinemic. So when you eat carbs, your body will produce insulin. Your pancreas will release insulin. As a result, I think it's through the beta cells, because the alpha cells, I think, is what releases glucagon to then store glycogen. And I'd be willing to be wrong on that. It was pretty nuanced. I'm also dyslexic, so maybe I'm flipping stuff. But when you eat exogenous carbs, when you eat any dietary carbs, your pancreas goes, we need to release insulin, because the only way you can get that carb into the cell to then be used as energy, the only way that happens is having the insulin unlock the cell to allow the glucose in. So if you had no insulin and you just had high glucose, think about people that are type 1 diabetics, or even people that are type 2 diabetics whenever they're in that certain state. So when you understand the relationship between insulin and glucose, you now at least have introduced the idea of something called insulin. Insulin is a hormone in the body that stores fat, prevents the body from burning fat, and essentially lowers your metabolism. So when you have high insulin, your body goes into all right, bro, we can start storing energy because we got stuff we can store. Let's chill out. Let's relax. And when it's in that state, over time, you perpetually build this insulin resistance, which means you're having an inability to use the insulin your body's producing until it gets to a point where your body can't produce enough insulin at all, where you need to then get it endogenously, which is where people become diabetic. Yeah. And so the problem...
Which is irreversible, so people know.
Which is reversible.
Oh, yeah, reversible.
Yeah, type 1.
Not irreversible. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm dyslexic, so it made sense at first.
Yeah. You ain't lying.
They think type 1 is irreversible, but there's been anecdotes where people they've shown markers of reversal even with type 1 diagnoses. So the point is, the issue then becomes an insulin problem. So when I have somebody wanting to fast, somebody wanting to start burning the fat they have on their body, which is 90% of people, you can't just jump into saying, go keto, go carnivore, start intermittent fasting, because if they do that, the form, again, because they have such high insulin, the form their body's used to energy-wise is the carbs that come with it.
Yeah.
And because the insulin is so high, their ability to use the fat is blocked. Right. Because high insulin blocks the fat lipase that essentially allows your body to unlock the triglycerides to then use as energy. And so if you're going to utilize the principles that I preach, it has to be approached in a way where I think he is inadvertently hinting at, no, you can't use fats. You have to reintroduce carbs at some point. Yeah, if you're super hyper insulinemic and your body is so insulin resistant that you can't utilize the fats. But that's where the education comes in on letting people know you're going to have to go through the keto flu. You're going to have to go through the phase of your body being low energy, feeling tired, feeling sluggish. Why? Because your insulin is so high, you can't access the fats. Your carbs are now decreased. So in the process of decreasing your insulin, you start unlocking the ability to use your fats again.
And it may take a little bit of time because your body's going to fat storage mode, right? Because it's freaking out.
Yeah. And so what I tell people all the time is you have to give yourself at least 30 days of a ketogenic metabolic therapeutic before you even unlock the ability to start utilizing the fat storage.
I remember you telling me about that.
And again, bro, this is so nuanced that it's not just this or that. It's this if underlying conditions. It's that if underlying
and
conditions.
You may have to revisit something. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
Who knows?
Every
You
individual,
may have to tweak for every individual.
Every individual I work with, especially the members at the gym, the main thing that they're getting invaluable resources to that they would otherwise have to pay $150 per hour of a conversation is the resource of me being able to fine tune their specific circumstance.
Well, that's why I've always, here, and I want to get back to that and let's finish this up.
Well, I was going to say.
Is this done?
It's done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's done.
All right. So we're done with that. No.
Shout out Caleb.
Yeah. Shout out Caleb. He was a good dude. Dude, we need to, I harp on this a lot. Okay. You kind of know my background and what I do. And the thing with your gym, why I think it's so important for people to go check out. We've talked about this probably before, but like working out is fun at the beginning, but you get through that burnt out, like that stage. And I have found for myself, and I think this is probably true for a lot of people, you need a reason to work out. Or at least make it fun. I've always recommended people going to classes. Like that's what makes it fun. Like working out by yourself, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That's a grind. Even in a gym. Basement's even worse. Basement fucking workouts, grind, bro.
Yeah. You gotta have some internal motivation.
Yeah, bro. Like, and that's what I had because I work out in my basement. But I have a reason to work out because I'm like, well, I don't want to get beat the fuck up at the gym. You know what I mean? When I go to my gym, this gives me a reason to work out. I don't like to, but I have a reason. Your gym, the same thing. You can go in there. You can literally have fun within a group setting and you're doing new stuff and moving your body in ways that you've never moved it. It's going to be completely different than working out, but you're also working out as well because you've got dumbbells, you've got weight, you got sleds, and then you're punching the punching bag and kicking. Like you're learning all these different things in one location. And then on top of that, the cherry on top is the diet side, which you're not going to get at a 10th Planet, or not a 10th Planet. Sorry. Shout out to 10th Planet, but you're not going to get at a Planet Fitness.
At any gym.
At most gyms, we'd probably say 95% of gyms, you're probably not going to get
99% of gyms because then.
Well, I mean, like gyms like Caleb, I'm sure Caleb,
this goes,
or that may be an added feature. You know what I mean?
This goes back to every gym I've ever been a part of, especially commercial gyms. Anything you wanted on top of just the membership, you have to pay extra for.
Yeah, you got to get a private session. Yeah.
And nutritionists are hardly ever on staff at a gym for you to be able to not only talk to the trainer about lifting, but then the nutritionist about nutrition. One of the funny parts about this whole ruptured Achilles is I'm still bedridden, but I was super bedridden for the first 4 weeks. And I had to really ask myself, you think you know nutrition science? All right, let's see. So I paid $600 for the ISSA test for a nutritional license. And within an hour, passed the test.
What? That's dope, bro. Congrats.
But again, it's not because I'm some genius.
What do you get from that? I guess just it looks good on your resume.
I'm now a certified nutritionist.
Hang that shit up at the gym.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But here's the thing. I have never had anybody ask me, where are your accolades and credentials? When you can break down the science to them, let alone when you can answer any questions they may have, let alone when you've had people get the results that those new people are trying to get.
Or if you don't have the answer, I'm sure you get it to them fairly quickly.
Oh, dude, if I don't have an answer, a lot of the times, especially if it's on the fly, I mean, just like you asking me earlier about the IQ stuff, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But if it's important enough and pertinent enough to
when it comes to your business,
their understanding of how to get healthier, and it's affected, it's gonna make me a more effective coach, I'll find the answer.
Well, not only that too, like they're walking billboards for you. Like, literally. How do you fucking look like that? Oh, I go to combat cardio. Yeah. And I think that's great, man, because it helps you and you get to see the help you're giving to that individual because you'll send a new individual out into society where he's taken care, he's healthier, he's better, he or she, you've completely changed their life.
And there is nothing, you can't put a price tag on that.
No, you can't.
And that's where, for me, there is, especially when selling memberships, I tell them every time, I go, look, what you get out of these four walls is going to be its own experience. And most people are invested just off what's within these four walls, because there's nothing like it. There's no place that is going to teach you how to move the right way, how to have fun, like you were alluding to earlier, how to have fun while working out, having a community that you can maintain motivation through, having a place where you can go to at any time during their open hours and come as much as you want. There, just places like that don't exist. Right. And so within those four walls, they're already getting such a special product that once they realize, once you become a member, that's only 20% of what you're getting.
Right.
80% of it is the nuanced approach that I'm going to give you when helping you optimize wherever you are in your current nutritional standard.
Yeah.
And take it as far as you would like.
Yeah, I think the problem is, man, is that when people see just one gym, it's like seeing that one restaurant. You know, you don't know if you want to gamble on it, but for some reason, like a franchise, like a 9 Rounds or whatever other locations that offer the style that you're doing, let's just say, well, they're offering bags and gloves. We'll just say, like, it takes a lot of people to be able to give it a chance.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So they're going to go with the McDonald's of that,
for sure,
that sector.
I will say this, though. One member made a good point, who was a former member at 9 Round. They said, they said everything you do makes it so unique that I don't even think about 9 Round or Tidal or any of these other gyms, these other boutique gyms, even like a Hot Works or an Orange Theory who has class-based stuff, blah, blah, blah. Because you guys are automatically so different than what they offer, and because you're local, I'm incentivized to give this more of a shot because I already know what I'm getting out of those places.
But that's why I want people to give your gym a try. It's because, like, I understand it's a little worrying, like, oh, there's only one, pop-up gyms.
That's why the first workout's free, though.
Yeah,
you got nothing to lose.
That's awesome. Yeah, just fucking come in. Like, the hardest part is just stepping in the gym.
Hardest part, showing up.
Once you do that, I'm telling you, man, I felt it myself. Like when I first started jiu-jitsu, bro, like when the first session that you do, you're like, where do I sign up for this for a year? And the same thing when I did your class, like, bro, I was drenched. We have a post up of that, which I'll reshare before this episode. Like, I mean, out of all the stuff I do, I mean, that was an intense ass workout, bro. And I'm a fit, active person, right. I feel like. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing, though. No matter where you're at, you can be. So I've had pro boxers come in.
Yeah. So if I got benefits from it,
right,
the normal dude's going to get where benefits from it.
Even pro boxers that have come in and pro MMA fighters that have come in, it doesn't matter where you're at. You're going to get pushed to what you're capable of.
Right.
And when you have a personal trainer over your shoulder every time you walk in.
Pushing you, yeah.
Oh my, it's a no-brainer, dude.
Right.
It's just that idea and those concepts don't really exist because A, it takes a lot of qualifications to be able to offer those services. And B, it's more work than offering path of least resistance, a simpler approach.
Right. Like a fucking Planet Fitness where they give you pizza on Tuesdays.
On Wednesdays.
Wednesdays,
I think it's Wednesdays, right?
Wednesdays or Tuesdays.
If I know that, Dom, that's bad. Because this was back before Crohn's. I looked forward to it, though.
Yeah, you looked forward to that day.
It was for glycogenic reuptake and everything that Gabe's talking about. That's why.
Bro, and also, too, man, like for the people that are at your gym, if they're watching, what's neat when you have gyms like that, bro, like where you start from the beginning, is that you can build yourself up and help that gym grow. You know what I mean? To grow to a second location or grow to where you have more coaches because they've got you there to learn from. To me personally, I mean, degrees and certificates hold weight, but man, you look at yourself, man. You're pretty much self-educated, right? On majority of what you've done. And I don't see why you couldn't do that for others to be able to help grow.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
Cardio.
I'm building a curriculum right now, and I have all the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, essentially on the rise. Where even Dom has helped do mitts whenever I'm there.
I know,
yeah,
bro.
Dom's helped, bro.
When's Coach Hernandez?
That's what I'm wondering.
When's he getting that title, bro?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
But like really, like you get into a gym at the beginning like yours, just like when I got into healing at the very beginning, like you could grow into something there and create that, what we said, that headquarters, that community.
Dude, and you've got a valuable input on something. It's almost like the I like using Dustin Poirier as a better example, just because I think he manifested he manifested success while maintaining his integrity. But it's like finding your partner before you get successful, right? It's like you're with them irrespective of what could potentially manifest from the greatness that they could instill or that they could just manifest. You're there because you just love them and you love the dynamic and the environment that you're in. I mean, Dom knows, one of our members, Allie, shout out Allie, the first week when I ruptured my Achilles, she works 12 to 12 as an EMS. As one of the hardest jobs in terms of being a first responder is dealing with people that are injured or dying, right? Yeah. And she also drives 50 minutes from Buckner, Missouri to come to the gym.
Damn, that's commitment.
Bro. And so you best believe, like, when it came to doing what I can to hook her up, and when it came to like considering her involvement this early on, she knows she could be as involved as she would want to be. But that's where I think you were alluding to a second ago, the reward of being a part of something early on is least about the long-term potential that it has to offer. It has more to do with how mutually beneficial it is in those early stages. For with all of the members, obviously the mutual benefit for me is having members in the gym, but for them, it's having a health standard change that they've never experienced before in their life.
Well, that's what I recommended when me and Dom first started doing the podcast. When he came on board, I told him, I was like, dude, because he was the first one to reach out to me about, your gym. And I said, you got to start changing the community you hang out with if you're going to be able to stick to this. That was the only way I lost friends because of the change I had to make, but it's going to happen and that's okay. You may still see them from time to time, but you got to look at the positive side of this, is that you're going to make yourself healthier. You're going to have mental, you feel a lot better. And then hopefully with you being the figure and embodying that change instead of just talking about it, the people that are watching you will start to gravitate towards you and start wanting to change themselves. But you're going to have to break out of that awkward stage of, well, I don't want to seem better than everyone else, or I don't want to lose a friend, or I don't want to do it. Just fucking do it, man. And the best way to do it is to get immersed in that community, which is what you offer, instead of going to some chain of gym and then just doing it on your own.
And just being another number to them.
Man. Like
I know every single member's name. I know what's going on with their family. Yeah. I mean,
because that's what people sleep on the most, bro, is the community side of it. And I think that's why martial arts, like, you start to see a lot of people of why, once you get past a certain level, trust me, there's a lot of people that fall off. But once you're past a couple of belts, like, you're pretty much married into the game. And like, when I go to different gyms or different open mats, like, I know who the people are who have been in the game for a while. And you start to see, like, they're all friends outside, like friends inside, like that becomes their world, and it pays off for them on the health side of it, because now what you're surrounded by is all positive and healthy, to a sense, to as much as it can be. And it's going to reflect on how you look, how you act,
and reinforce all those behaviors.
Yeah.
Do you know who Dan Pena is? It's like a multi-billionaire old dude.
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to just love listening to him yell at people.
Yeah, I think I don't agree with some of the shit.
I don't know much about him. I don't know much about his businesses.
Because he's the whole, like, get tougher, shut the fuck up type guy. That's the same guy we're talking about, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. We need more of that in this soft ass world.
For sure, we do. But some of it's shit. You know what I mean? Grind fucking 16 hours a day at work and all that shit.
No, it's
there's balance.
If you want to be a billionaire, the things he's talking about, I agree with. But it's like not everybody wants to be a billionaire.
But just know the sacrifices.
Agreed. So
you may be going through 3 wives and your kids may fucking not like you.
And if that's the case with him, again, I'm not saying.
No, I'm just saying. I don't know if that is for him. Right. I don't know if that is for him.
But is it right? So
but there's a trend in
there's a trend for sure. And there's also sacrifices you have to make. And my ultimate thing, this goes back to the religiosity component of it.
Right.
You were saying there's two folds. You were saying that people gravitate towards a community, which I agree with 100%. The question is why? Well, humans are communal creatures. But we live in a day and age where we don't even know our neighbors.
Right.
What's one of the commandments in the Bible?
Yeah, what is it? Thou shalt something neighbor.
Just be kind to thy neighbor, essentially. It's the simplest way to think about it. Yeah, simplest
I'm trying to.
You're doing
I was trying to go off,
English.
I was trying to go fucking full on. Yeah.
So the idea is, though, we don't even know our neighbors. So I feel like, especially in America, there's this thirst and this yearning for community that we've lost in the last 50 to 100 years.
Right.
That's first and foremost.
Most of our communities are online.
Right. Which is not as effective as having a in-person community, because you need the interdimensional person. You need the interdimensional component of having that person in front of you.
Or the feel of the energy too.
Agreed.
It's like podcasting. I feel differently when I'm talking
versus
in front
virtual
of you than virtual. Yeah.
The other component to that is what Dan Pena, I have always thought about this quote whenever I have people saying, yeah, but they're my friend. Yeah, but they're my family. When they would say these things, yeah, but they're my community. You are on average the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
You are on average the 5 people you surround yourself with. So if you're surrounding yourself with people that are still living, they won't close the yearbook. One of my best friends won't close the yearbook, still lives at home, brags about throwing parties at his parents' crib. It's like, close the yearbook, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And if or really the people that still surround themselves with that sort of behavior, don't be surprised if you're stuck where you're at.
Right.
And it's the opposite end. You get into a community of people who show up on time. 6 a.m. club. I wish Don would show up again. You show up to people who show up on time. They are sweating and working hard with people next to them. They're talking about their family. They're working on just trying to be better. If you're surrounded by 5 people that are all trying to improve their life, the odds are you're probably going to try to improve your life too.
Right.
But if you surround yourself with 5 degenerates, don't be surprised if I call you a degenerate.
Yeah. It's like, show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are. Yeah.
Who says that? That's another quote from somebody.
I don't remember, but I've always heard that.
I think that Dan Pena says, show me your friends are. And I think Dan Pena also says that, bro.
Yeah. I think my dad he didn't say it like that, but he would always tell me, like,
he says, show me who your friends are and I'll show you. Show me who your friends are and I'll show you your future is what Dan Pena says.
Yeah.
But your dad would say,
no, my dad would say that too. Watch who you hang around, because that's what you're going to be labeled as. Pretty much is what he used to tell me.
And to give you,
and he's right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
To give you the feeling okay about having to cut people off or you trying to make your life better. It's like, why would you want to be around anybody who is incentivizing you to do bad stuff?
Right.
Or better yet, why would you want to be around somebody who is mocking you or is downplaying your ability to want to get better?
Right.
It's like when I was in high school, it was just good because I was able to be an athlete and an academic, essentially. So when all of my boys would blow off homework and they would say, school, I'm just going to be an athlete, so I don't need to do school. And they would try to call me a nerd, or they would try to say that I was square. I would double down on it and be like, yeah, what's wrong with that? And then they wondered why I never hung out with them outside of sports, essentially.
Yeah.
Because you are on average the 5 people you surround yourself with.
I hope my kids think that way, man, because I always tell them all the time, I'm like, when you get out of high school, you maybe will talk to a handful of people.
Just one of them.
Yeah. Maybe even just one. Yeah. To be honest with you, like, these people aren't going to be your life. My daughter starts high school next year, and I'm like, and thank God, she's very smart. She gets all her stuff done. But I told her, I was like, high school's a test. I'm telling you, stick with it, because it's going to pay off later on in life. You know what I mean? If you go your own path and not follow everybody else's, man, you'll be a lot further ahead.
And
than
if
most
I
people.
had that anecdote when I was in high school, bro, I wouldn't have even probably played sports.
But sometimes you can't. Like, I can tell her this stuff.
She's got experience.
It's got to be up to her.
It's empirical knowledge versus theoretical knowledge. And back in the day, in like the 1600s, there was a big argument amongst philosophers and real world scientists. I think Newton was actually a part of this argument. Isaac Newton, Wilhelm Leibniz. Was it Wilhelm Leibniz? Leibniz is the dude that created calculus. People think that Isaac Newton created calculus, but it was really there's this German dude that created calculus as we know it. He's the one that notated it. Isaac Newton created calculus, but he didn't notate it where no one could read what he was doing. He's like, I don't care if you know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And he would just like do his stuff, his calculations. Leibniz was this dude that was like, no, I think other people should know how we're doing this. And he structured it and formally has it in a way where that's where calculus was essentially born. But you had these mathematicians, these philosophers, these scientists back in the day that would say, can you learn information and wisdom through just reading about it? or do you have to experience it?
Right.
And it was the theorists versus the empiricists. And the empiricists were one that, you got to go through the school of hard knocks to really learn some stuff. You can't just read about it in a book.
Right.
And I think there's merit to both sides.
Yeah, I was about to say, because we're starting to see that in the YouTube age where people are learning a lot off of YouTube.
Me reading it or watching a video is different than me actually going and doing it. And so long you can grapple with both of those and then synchronize them as first learning and then applying, that's the secret formula to learning anything.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to watch that video and then just go out there and change your brakes. Right. But if you watch that video while you're changing your brakes and you make sure that you have all the tools that they list in the beginning, then you may not be able to do it in 15 minutes like that guy does. Of course not. But you'd be able to get it done if you followed step by step.
You're getting the empirical experience and the empirical wisdom that you can't get through just theorizing.
Right. And I think and just to finish up on that last part about people being able to let go of the old and embrace the new.
Yeah.
I think wise, it goes back to community again, like you said. It's possibly leaving your old community and stepping into a new one. And, I get a lot of these, a friend will send me these like, I don't know, how do you explain it? They're like reels discussing like energy type stuff, that type of stuff. But like a lot of them, they make sense, man. And I remember one saying like, you're feeling lost because you're trying to step into new. You know what I mean? So it's not in a sense of like you're lost, so everything's just kind of spiraling out of control. You're almost in that teeter-totter, that 1 foot over the line. You just haven't fully committed yet. And I think a lot of people end up in that situation, but they end up going back.
Because they have that 1 foot still out the door.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the issue. But if they see that, from individuals like me, or even Dom can weigh in on the positives of him. He's pretty much the same age as me, and he's gone through a lot of the same struggles. And we're not saying it's a complete fix all, but it's a step in the right direction once you step fully through. And you're not going to completely lose those people. Like we said, those people will still be around. You'll still hang out with them. But like you said, in high school, maybe you're not going to be hanging around with them as much as you were, but you'll see them from time to time.
How about this? If you do lose them, who wants to have a degenerate incentivizing negativity and nastiness in their life?
But not even at that level. So let's just say the gray level. Like I have some friends that maybe don't fully commit to those things, but I still see them like once in a blue moon, like we'll get together and hang out. And it's fun. It's old times, but moderation, you know what I mean? And it's not that I'm trying to like bash them, we're just we're on different fields right now, and we'll get together every now and then at a birthday party or a gathering or whatever. But I just can't hang out with you 3 times a week like we're at the bar.
I'm seeing it from such extreme lens. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
And again, bro, even before Crohn's, I never drank alcohol.
Yeah. But you're the one to first tell people the 80-20 rule. So you incorporate that for not only food, exercise, but as well as the people that you're hanging around.
It's the only pushback I would say is if you have somebody in your life that is actively doing severely negative enough things. If my brother came to Thanksgiving high off heroin, it's like, at what stage do we just accept him high off heroin, right?
Gotcha.
But if you're out with your friends and they're all casually drinking, but you're not, I would do that all the time. It ultimately boils down to, though, the acceptance of you're not perfect. So holding them to a perfect standard is off rip already disingenuous. That's where they are justified in saying, who do you think you are? You think you're better than me.
Right.
Because if you're coming at it from that judgmental standpoint, for sure.
Yeah.
But
I just don't want to scare people off to think because I think most people, and from the stories that I've been told, there's always people that talk shit, but a majority of it is that people are just caught in a routine of hitting up Westport 3 nights a week, okay, or whatever it may be, drinking with their friends, and they're scared to change their life and commit all this time to getting healthier and feeling better. They're scared to lose that.
Agreed.
And you don't have to lose that. Moderation. That's all you have to look at it as. You may not be able to go 3 times a week. You may only be able to go once a month, but that's better than continuing the path that you're on, because you don't feel good and you're supplementing the dopamine hit that you're getting of hanging out till 2 a.m. at Westport with your friends. as like a reassurance that like, oh, it's okay though. I feel good. This is fun, until you wake up the next day and then you try to deny it for a week until Friday comes back around and then you're doing it again.
See, I would say again, because
I think that's what most people probably go through, right? Especially in 20s.
Right. But
not too many people are hooked on heroin. You know, I'm just trying to, but I get your side of it. Yeah. I get, but there are cases of that, but most cases I think are.
I see it.
The nightlife, nightlife stuff.
The nightlife stuff.
Yeah.
I even on that standpoint, though, I see it as back to you are on average the 5 people you surround yourself with. If those people that you're having those small glimpses of degeneracy with, as long as they're not the 5 people in terms of the average time you're spending with, then yeah, I think maintaining a vestigial grasp on old habits for the sake of maintaining comfort, I think there is merit to that.
Yeah.
But deep down, with everybody I've helped, there has to be this acceptance of where do certain behaviors actually place in your life? And if we're talking about things like nightlife, or even if we're talking about things like just casually drinking, oh, I have a glass of wine every night. Mm-hmm. I don't, clearly, but just people would say that.
Right.
There is the ultimate factor of how are these things, infrequent or not, actually affecting your life? Mm-hmm. And with most people, especially the dudes my age, bro, that are starting to get close to 30, when they realize Mitch has spent all of his 20s grinding, essentially, which I'm not saying people got to be as extreme as me, but Mitch has gone out like 3 times in the last 10 years as an adult in my 20s that I've been focusing on other things. Well, Mitch is just square. Mitch doesn't like to have fun, all this stuff. I don't think people got to be as extreme as I am or have been.
Right.
But you have to ask yourself, if Mitchell would have, the times where I was living in my mom's basement and all my boys were asking me, just come out with us, bro. We'll pay for you and all this stuff. Could I have gone and done that? Yeah. Sure. But how would that have reinforced certain behaviors? And that's what you ultimately got to ask yourself. And I am a firm believer of not being a hypocrite, practicing what you preach. And if you're going to be preaching to people, especially if you have kids, if you're going to be preaching to people about being better or doing better, I don't think it's about needing to hold on to some residual part of what was comfortable in your past life. I think it's more about accepting the futility of a lot of those things and the necessity to have to grow into something new as a result of the people you're doing it for.
Right.
And when you're a parent, is doing it for your kids. I can't tell you how many, and bro, with not having kids, you know how many parents, when I try to have this convo with them, they throw you don't have kids, you don't understand tool at me.
You can say that to a point, but what is he telling you?
Right, and that's my point. And because then when I tell them is I go, dude, all I'm talking about is sacrifice, selfless sacrifice. In the same way, instead of me going out and doing all these things to enjoy my life, I had, especially once me and my fiance got together, I had responsibilities and people that were depending on me. So for me, it's about doing the selfless thing that's optimal, irrespective of what I want.
Right.
And a big reason, Adriano, where you at? Shout out Adriano. A big reason why a lot of people are so selfish in their fundamental intentional decision-making is because they don't have this higher elevated view above themselves. They don't have moral worldviews or principles to keep them grounded that are above them. So they end up creating all that themselves.
Yeah.
And if you create your own morals and your own worldviews and you try to define right and wrong yourself, you'll always end up in the wrong place.
That is true.
Because you're always going to do things for what? What's best for you?
Yeah,
what's best for you?
It's almost like trying to work out without nothing, just testing things on workout equipment. Good luck trying to.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wholly understand and respect where you're coming from.
Everything needs guidance. Yeah.
And again, it goes back to not having a community. When young men used to have mentors to teach them this stuff, that hasn't existed in like the last 20 years.
I know, it's sad. It's falling apart.
But that's where we step up as competent, capable individuals.
At least in our community, start changing our community.
And that's all I try to do with every member that walks through the door.
Yeah, because we see the effects in politics where we're trying to look at things nationwide and how much that's falling apart.
How about fix your city, bro?
Yeah, fix the city. Yeah, and then let that spread.
Yes,
to other cities.
Here's the thing:
what's Gladstone doing right? They must be doing something right because a lot of people are changing. You know what I mean?
It's fix yourself so you have enough to fix the people around you,
right?
Which will create enough of a community to fix the society you live in. And when you start with yourself and then the people closest to you, which is usually family. So you start with the self, then the family, then the community, then the society, you have more an effect because you're controlling the things you can control.
And who I want to target the most is, like you said, people with kids, you know what I mean? Because they're going to bring the next generation up, and we don't need any more fat people. We don't need any more dumb people. Like, we need to start educating our kids. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the most fit or the most educated, but I'm trying. You know what I mean? That's what we should all be doing. We should be trying instead of neglecting, you know? Just let's watch the next reality show, or let's just fucking watch the next brainless.
Neglect, I think, is the best word you use.
So like and we've discussed this before, but I want to hit on it again. For these people that say, I don't have enough time, I work 10 to 12 hours a day, or I have kids, like, give them what it would look like if you were to incorporate your workout into their life. So how much time, what do they need? Like, break it down for me.
So I have
for the excuses.
Yeah. So if you knew you didn't have enough time and enough money, if you knew that outright, then you would almost feel better knowing, well, that's why I'm fat and lazy. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people, they'll use a lot of these excuses because in their perception, they don't really think they have enough money or time. So in their mind, they actually don't think they have enough money or time. It then allows them to maintain that comfortability we alluded to way earlier.
When a majority do.
Not only do you have time and enough time and money, you have to just think about it from the perspective of what our ancestors used to endure. So I don't have enough time. What does that mean? You don't have enough time. You don't work 24 hours a day, so clearly you have time.
You only need 6 to 8 hours of sleep.
I don't have enough money. When I audit people's behaviors, which is one of my favorite things to do, we want to talk about good content. Good content would be if someone was vulnerable enough to sit in front of me and me audit their behavior, because it is so.
We should do an episode of that one day.
I'd be down, dude.
Yeah, just have a dude sit right there. Yeah.
Because when you really break down and you verbalize and vocalize behaviors, people end up realizing, okay, maybe I'm just dramifying this. Mm-hmm. And so the biggest one is money. I don't have enough money. Bro, you go to Power and Light 3 times a week. I don't have enough money. Bro, you Uber Eats all your food and you're eating out.
You eat out every day at lunch for work. Yeah.
Bro, I don't have enough time.
$8 coffee.
You're watching March Madness all day. So
yeah, what's your subscription to Xbox? Yeah.
So I have enough.
Yeah.
I have enough.
How many makeup products have you bought this week?
Bro, I have enough of an understanding of the extreme case of people who literally couldn't afford it or didn't have the time. Mm-hmm. Father of 4, divorced, has his kids on the weekend, works 70 hours a week because of child support and all this other stuff. Oh. So it's like, in a situation like that, you best believe I'm not scoffing at his financial or time constraints.
Or the chick from Buckner that you were just discussing.
So that's where she works 12-hour shifts as an EMT for EMS.
Yeah.
Drives 50 minutes for a 35-minute workout, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's like, when I have these anecdotes of people who have done way more with way less, it makes it easier for the individuals who think they don't have time or money
if you're
to actually
sitting
understand
at a desk job and you're telling me that you don't have enough time, bro, come on. Man.
So
she's out there fucking getting PTSD from her job and shit.
And she's like 22.
And still driving 50 minutes, you know?
So I think she's maybe 23, but she's like 5 years younger than me. So to answer your question, what can people do? You have to find you have to find resources first. So unless you're going to be an expert in any field, unless you're going to take the time to learn from the ground up everything you need to know to be self-sufficient in whatever that domain is, you're going to need to outsource it to somebody who knows what they're doing. Mm-hmm. First and foremost. Well, then becomes the financial constraint. I agree. Most people can't afford my online services. My online services are $500 a month. And you sign a 6-month contract, which even then other people are charging $1,000 a month for less than what I provide. They're charging $1,000 a month and they're locking them into 12-month contracts usually. Mm-hmm. And they're high ticket items, meaning they only need to sell like 5 of them to make money.
Right.
And so for me, it's least about high ticket items. It's about, you need to invest the money to actually then have skin in the game, to invest in the mental and emotional effort. And once you've done that, it's then acquiring the tools that you can then sustain the rest of your life without having to pay that for the rest of your life, essentially.
But that's what I've always liked about you. And also too, you're targeting the middle, you know what I mean? Like these high end ticket items, you know, that's only going to be to a select few people. It's like the issue with haircuts right now. Barbers are getting out of fucking control with the amounts they're fucking. I mean, $100 for a fucking cut is insane.
Ridiculous.
Shout out to my barber though, Palacio. You're cool.
Aunt Rice?
Yeah.
That's your barber?
Who?
Aunt Rice?
Yeah.
Anthony Palacio?
Yeah, Anthony Palacio.
That's
yeah,
wild.
he's a cool dude.
Shout out Aunt Rice.
He, you know, like I've told him that before. I'm like, hey man, don't fall into that loop. I mean, you do whatever you want. It's your business. Don't fall into the loop and start doing $100 haircuts. I can tell you what, I ain't going to be in the seat, which is, you know, you go do what you do.
For sure.
But like, I'm going to naturally go as just a normal dude to where it's best, cost effective.
Bro, most people can't afford it. That's
what I'm saying. So like they get forgotten because we have all these people chasing after the Instagram bullshit, you know, like I want to get all this money so I can take pictures on a fucking boat,
bro.
But like at least, but it creates a void, and there's so many customers out there that'd be willing, they just can't afford it. And so that's what I think what's cool about yours, and also what you also tell them. It's like, you're not going to need me forever,
literally,
but give me like a year with you and I could change your life. And then on top of that, it not only helps them, but it helps you, because then people start to funnel through that.
They're a walking billboard,
where
like you
it
said.
Worked. Yeah, where it worked. And like, I think that's where it's like, I like that people, that's my kid jumping on top of me. I like that where both people are benefited.
Literally.
They're not going to feel drained financially, and you're not going to feel like you're being used. You know what I mean? Like you're both getting something out of it.
Bro, I took a class online. One of those stupid, I'll pay you to be you pay me and I'll teach you how to get clients sort of things, right? Mm-hmm. If I really, really wanted to manipulate people with sounding good.
Yeah, surely you could. Yeah.
And that to me is evil, dude.
Yeah, it is.
And
it's not good for your soul.
It's not good for your soul. So I sleep fine at night.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm actually helping people without needing to compromise my integrity. Mm-hmm. And again, it's like to pay $3,000 to change your life. Obviously, those people are going to be in a different financial state than somebody who's looking at $100 a month as, well, that's $100 a month. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but in 3 months, that's only $300. Mm-hmm. 6 months, it's only $600.
Yeah, that's like, what is that, like 4 meals a week or something like that?
Literally.
You know,
especially
if you go out to eat.
If you're paying for a coffee a day, $10 from Starbucks, 10 days of Starbucks is what you're paying to change your health, essentially. And by taking the Starbucks out, you're also changing your health.
Oh, yeah. Update on that. I'm a Dutch Bros guy now.
Don't tell me that. Are you really?
Bro.
My sister literally told me when Dutch Bros, it's like 5 years ago, this new company, they're going to challenge Starbucks. I put $500 into Dutch Bros stock and it's never came back.
Really?
Up. So I just
There's so many fucking popping up around here,
know,
bro.
Dude, my Robinhood account doesn't show that. Yeah, that's another combo.
But dude, no, I just like because they have more selection.
No
and
doubt.
You can get zero sugar.
No
you can
doubt.
get protein, all that shit. That's what I like.
So the idea though is, when you can have somebody who obviously can't afford it, because again, the $100 a month, when I'm talking to people, $100 a month ain't nothing, especially when you're investing in your health, let alone the potential for $500 a month. Mm-hmm. And the people I work with that have been paying $500 a month, they would gladly pay $1,000 because of the results they get. Mm-hmm. So it's, at that point, compartmentalizing your different target audiences. And for my brick and mortar for combat cardio, the last thing I'm trying to do is have people break the bank to get something that, like you said, could easily be affordable where still everybody wins.
Right.
And
also, if you wanted to, you could have just stuck to online. You know, I'm sure it's more of a risk doing brick and mortar than it is online.
I tell every member that comes in when they're like, oh, I don't know, $100 a month is kind of a lot. I'm like, bro, if I wanted to, if I was worried about you signing up right now, I wouldn't have even opened this gym. I would have made that $100 in an hour of consulting with somebody.
Or tell them, well, go take your $20 and go do it for
I always
Planet
tell them to go
Fitness.
Planet Fitness. That's always
and then let me know the results you get out of it.
And so again, though, it's, you have the ability to provide a service that, yes, you still need people to have skin in the game, but it's guaranteed more affordable than they initially thought, especially when they're taken aback by the initial cost for the product.
Yeah.
And again,
don't go out to eat for 1 week. There's your $100.
And so when they have that initial,
and just at lunch, yeah,
agreed. When they say again, I'm glad you brought it up. When they say I don't have time or that's a lot, I don't have the money. Mm-hmm. I will sit there for 5 minutes helping audit their lifestyle to tell them, clearly you have more money than you think.
I was going to tell you,
more time than you know.
You should add that to, you said you're creating like a process and procedures.
Mm-hmm.
You should try to find, because everybody's almost the same, pretty much. And if you were to give that audit and like just hand it to them, hey, fill that out. You know what I mean? It's like they would get their like you should think about doing that because then it would take one, you need time
when I'm not there.
Well, because you need time. You know what I mean? Like as your gym grows and gets bigger and bigger, unless you start sprouting out 3 or 4 more Mitch, this guy over here. Hey, come on, man. Help your boy out. All right.
I was mad qualified. I wish I could hire him.
If you only have so much time to be able to give everybody, but if you were to break it down in like a form where you could just, hey,
how often do you drink coffee a week? Yeah. How often do you buy food out? Oh, for sure. That's genius.
I remember I took a test one time that how to know when your dog needs to be put down at the old age that they're at.
It was like a checklist.
Yeah. It gave me a list. Yeah. I filled out everything. And then once you take up, it's like a certain point system. It'll tell you, well, you probably should. Right. You know what I mean? Like or you probably shouldn't. 2
points if you're Uber Eating, doing Uber Eats. Another 2 points, or 2 points if you're going out to eat every time you eat. Another 2 points if you're ordering it in by Uber Eats or whatever, DoorDash. That's genius.
Yeah. So then at the end it goes, you can fucking afford it. You know what I mean? Like that should be the thing. And then them go, you're right. And then it has like maybe some comments of like what to get rid of if you end up in this bracket.
That's genius.
Cut out this, and this, and this, and this is your combat cardio fucking
protocol.
Yeah, no, this is your combat cardio tuition or a monthly fee.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, so to help them justify the cost.
Because this is what I'm seeing. People are too lazy to fucking do the work. They want it to be done in the easiest way that tells them the answer. Mm-hmm. It's like when I want to sell shirts, which by the way, you guys have been helpful on that. I appreciate that. But most people will message, how do I get one of those shirts? The link tree is in my bio, brother. Link. Like you have to literally send the direct link and then explain to them how to fill it out. Or the easiest way is like, which I'm just got an order of them. You just got to buy them and hustle them out the back of your fucking trunk.
Which, by the way, you got to get one of these, bro.
Yeah, no,
Holistic Health.
Is this yours?
Yeah, and then on the back it says.
Oh, bro, yeah, dude. I'll definitely get that. Yeah, because I need to get one. Yeah. So, do you have some on you, dude?
I don't.
I'm gonna be one of those guys that's lazy.
Where do I get it, bro?
Where'd I get it?
The link is in the description.
No,
man, you did. I saw that.
But I say,
yeah.
You got the shorts?
And the shirt,
Dom, bro. Hey, man, you need to be having that shit on 24/7. Kind of like Dave Chappelle wears his own brand.
That's
all
I wear. You need
to be sporting your boy's shit.
Yeah, that's all.
Hey, also, by the way, I am offended that Longboards has a combat cardio ad and not a to bring about.
Shut up, dude! Don't ruin that for me.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying
that for me.
You need to put one in there, dog. All right. If I need to talk to the fucking guy, let me know.
He supplied it, and I put it in.
That is true.
I know. I told you to help me out. Find the stickers, man. I want to slap a big old T-BAP sticker in there.
Low key. Put this fucking plate in there. I like that, by the way.
They're already calling me the Timu Channing Tatum, bro. We got to give them the fucking
the Timu Channing Tatum,
bro. I was like,
your eyes are too light, bro.
No, I'm just like, well, no, they keep going. Like I go in there, and one of the girls was like, and I get this a lot, which is very shameful for Channing Tatum. I'm sure if he were to look at this, but they're always like, you look like Channing Tatum. I'm like, what? Probably the wish.com Channing Tatum.
Well, I think listen, he was that guy for a while, so that's a compliment.
I think it's just it's a compliment, but I think it's not a compliment for Channing Tatum. But maybe it's because our heads are very huge. I have the fucking 20-pound head, bro.
Listen, I stole his dance from that one dance movie he had from way back in the day.
Oh yeah, what was that?
What was that? It wasn't You Guys. No,
it wasn't Stomp the Yard either. Which one was it?
And there was like 5 of them after.
You remember which one that was?
I'm trying to think.
Let's not.
You talking about Magic Mike?
No, fool.
Come on, bro.
I know the name of that one.
Yeah, I know you were fucking getting down to that one on the fucking pole. Oh no, the dudes don't use a pole. They use a chair. Yeah.
The fact you know that is so.
Hey, bro, I fucking seen it. I've seen it.
I've never seen Magic Mike on the record. Now.
Hey, we can start talking about Brokeback Mountain if you guys want.
Listen, we got to see Heath Ledger. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I don't know, man. Where were we going with that? Actually,
I think full circle.
We
just
got
to kind of
caught up in longboards for a sec.
To wrap up the idea of getting out of the old and breaking into the new, which I think was the biggest line we were kind of drawing on that I think it'd be good to kind of tie up is.
Oh, we were talking about laziness. About yeah, okay, yeah.
And the fundamental quality everybody is going to have to fight. And again, when you have a religious predisposition, it's easier to just diagnose it as when you have a sinful proclivity, when you have a sinful nature, when your base instinct is to just be a narcissistic, selfish monkey, when that's your base instinct, acknowledging it makes it easier to then control and put it at the wayside. And the laziness and the path of least resistance is everybody's kryptonite. It's everybody's baseline sinful nature. And if you can find, and I was kind of alluding this to earlier, if you can find and outsource an expert to help you deal with that, let alone a community to then reinforce it, I think that would be a secret formula to success for the average person.
Right.
Finding the expert and then finding the community.
Yeah. That way they can explain it to you. Like we said, for the what you can cut out to be able to change your life.
And with combat cardio, and when you're talking about like the checklist, anytime I have somebody come in, it's almost autonomic, bro. Like I don't even think about it. They'll say, "Oh, I don't know," and then it's like, boom. "Oh, what do you mean you don't know?" "Well, I just don't think I can afford it." "But guaranteed you can." "Well, I just don't know if I have the time." Bro, you can come in whenever you want. 35 minutes, you're in and out, and you'll always have a trainer in here. So when you can just knock every single reason and excuse for them to not commit to being a healthier version of themselves, the ultimate excuse is, "Well, I just don't want to."
Yeah.
And the reason they don't want to is because it's not as comfortable being a beginner and starting something new. And
I always tell them, especially some of them that I've seen that are very severe. I mean, 400 pounds. That I usually, and I hate to be rude like this, but I think that sometimes given blunt advice or information is good sometimes. It's a necessary. It's a medicine doesn't always taste good kind of thing. And I'll have people talk to me and they'll ask me questions and who are morbidly obese. And then when I give them the same thing, when they tell me, "Well, I just don't have enough time," or "I don't have enough money," and we break that down. And then at the end, they just go, "Yeah, I don't know, man." And I go, "Well, then, I mean, you're going to die. You're going to die. I'm sorry." And it's going to be earlier than you expect. So I don't know what else to tell you.
And if they have kids and they have people that depend on them,
and they usually
it hits
do.
A little harder. And it hits a little harder when you're that
like if you're 450 pounds and you're 5'5" or 5'7" or whatever, like you're probably going to die in your 50s or 60s. Maybe earlier. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
And yeah, genuine people do, like you could be the most healthiest person. Like I always get this comment all the time. "Well, even healthy people get cancer and die."
Or Crohn's.
Yeah. Or do you want to roll the dice or, you know what I mean? Like I don't, if I'm going to roll the dice, I'd rather be on I tried everything I could to be able to stop, these things from happening.
I tell people though I was indulging in sugar and bad foods, I was still eating healthier than 90% of people.
Or not even that, bro. Like you're functioning off of 1 year.
For sure.
You know what I mean? At your stage of fatness, you are functioning off of 1 year. So yeah, you can say the healthy guy is going to die at 60 from skin cancer, but he lived a real life.
For sure, quality.
You know what I mean? Quality. And I know, I'm sure there's some people, "Well, did he really, he was a health nut and spent his..." We're in general,
guaranteed he dealt with less chronic pain.
Yeah, he felt less chronic pain. He felt better in his clothes.
Levels.
He felt better in communities around people. He felt more confident and better at his job.
Slept better.
Yeah, probably, could possibly have a better relationship with the significant other, or have better opportunities with finding a partner. You know what I mean? Because everything is going to increase and get better if you look and feel better.
It's the very thing we alluded to earlier, which is if you take care of yourself first, you're then more effective in helping the people around you. I always tell people, how could I, with this empty water bottle, give you water? Mitch, can I have some water? Sure, dude. Mitch, you didn't give me, there's a sip left, bro. Like, how am I supposed to drink that? you're right. I should probably fill up my cup before I try to fill up yours.
Right.
And the inability to acknowledge the selfishness of certain lifestyle behaviors is the first thing I usually address with people.
Dude, I think what you're doing is great. I think what you're doing with your gym, you know, it's changing lives, man. It's making your community better. And it really, man, like you said, 35 minutes and $100 a month, man, you can't beat that. I don't see why more people aren't flocking to it, and they need to. I do see you guys are growing though, man. Follow you guys on Instagram. I mean, the videos you're putting up of everybody getting it, man. I mean, that's awesome. So is there anything else you got, I
would just say it's important to have people in your life that tell you the things you need to hear, not the things you want to hear.
Right.
And every member at that gym, I've gotten that recurring anecdote of Mitch will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And the more you understand the intention behind people trying to actually tell you the things you need to hear, it's more founded in love and respect and care than the other approach.
Right.
Because if you don't acknowledge somebody's bad habits, and if you don't care to at least try to help them where you can, if you're qualified, you have to ask yourself, how much do you actually care about that person?
Mm-hmm.
And if we can surround ourselves with people that when we find ourselves not caring about ourselves enough to ask those hard questions, we at least know we can lean on their shoulder as a careful source of consideration that loves you enough to call out the things you need to be called out on.
Right.
But
I think we need more of that.
Agreed.
Dude, like that's a true friend, man. A true friend's not going to be the one who just listens to whatever you're telling them and they just say yes.
Right.
They're going to be the ones that give you the actual advice you need.
And why would you want to be around people that aren't going? I don't know.
Most people do, man.
But it goes back to the comfort. That's why I said I don't know. I do know.
And you see it a lot in the female community as well, and not only male but female as well. You see a lot of women propping each other up, like, don't worry about it. You look great. Yeah. You're hurting your friend.
You're hurting them.
Yeah. And the amount of makeup products or waist trainers or whatever it is you're using to be able to try to stop what is inevitable of your body getting bigger and looking worse. You could easily save all that money that you're wasting on that shit.
And invest it into something that's more sustainable.
Yeah. I mean, because we all see, like, I've had women on here that are older and who take care of themselves, and you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Especially ladies with the older they get post geriatric pregnancy and postmenopause. It's very important that these lifestyle changes are heavily considered.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, no, for sure, man. Like,
I would say that is the biggest problem, bro. And when it comes to health, I said it earlier, but people have got to fix their insulin levels. And that is something that hardly anybody ever talks about.
Right.
And they don't even know how to approach that. Isn't insulin something that has to do with diabetes? No, insulin has to do with storing fat and not allowing your body to burn fat. And if everybody's chronically eating foods that spike their insulin, and they're getting fatter, they're not only spiking their fat storage and storing more fat, but they're unable to burn it.
Right.
And then you're caught in this vicious cycle and that's where I want to give. And when you talk about like morbidly obese people, that's where they need, of all people, to have the most grace given to them when they make the commitment. Because once they're willing to make the commitment, it is dealing with their circumstance, their severe circumstance, in a way that requires due diligence. And
I don't know why they wouldn't. I know they feel uncomfortable when they go to the gym, but just to if anybody's watching that's fucking 300-400 pounds, when I see a dude or a chick in there that's
inspiring,
bro, and not even like to be like, oh, you go, like, not. I look at it as like, because some people might think, oh, these guys are just being corny or whatever. No, seriously. I think it's fucking admirable, man. Like, that you're willing to come in here and try to do what even dudes that are only 50 pounds overweight won't do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking cool as shit, man.
It's
and no one is looking at you like, oh, what is this person? I mean, maybe there's some assholes, but fuck them.
Literally.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to see more people get healthier, smarter. Like, that's the only way we're going to reverse what I feel like the system is doing to us intentionally.
Right.
You need to fight back, and you can start fighting back by changing yourself. Fuck the votes, fuck all that shit, because apparently we're seeing that's not fucking working. So, like, literally, change yourself. Let's go outside the system and change ourselves, what they don't want us to do.
And if you're anybody who may not be local or is just for the sake of using the words, is too insecure to come see me in person, feel free to reach out. The more obese and the more overweight you are, the harder it is relative to the average person to fix your metabolism, which is why they usually stay morbidly obese and get worse, because it's just harder. And why is it harder? Because you can't access those fat storages. So you have to approach it in a very specific and intentional way. And that's just hard it's hard to find people to help you do that. And even if it's just DMing me or if it's reaching out through Combat Cardio,
would you be willing to franchise your stuff?
Oh yeah, that's the plan.
Because that'd be neat if like a dude in Colorado was dude, I like what this guy's doing. I want to open up a gym like that.
I got a member who was a contractor and he was out here for a few months, but he's from Wisconsin or Idaho, one of the two. And yeah, he was like, bro, how much would it cost? Like, and can we, like, if I found a place?
Because I think that'd be neat, especially if you're creating the system, the processes and procedures in place now to make Combat Cardio what it is, to give the knowledge.
Literally. It
would be neat to give it to somebody who maybe doesn't have, he doesn't have like a one place to go to obtain all that knowledge. You could provide it to him. He or she can embody it and then create a Combat Cardio in their area, which can, again, it's like a good spread, like not a bad disease. It's a good thing that's going to spread and start going into the communities, especially the education side. Like we said, that's the biggest side of it that I like.
The education on the nutrition. Those are the two biggest parts.
Because you got to have both. If you don't have one without the other, you're going to see slow results. I'm a walking billboard for that. Right. When I'm not, like currently right now, not eating good and not getting enough of the activity I need to get in, I'm seeing the difference in my body, even in a short period of 2 months.
Right.
And it sucks. And for the people that are just starting, dude, this isn't going to change in 30 days. This is going to take years, depending on how severe your case is.
How about this? I was told after I ruptured my Achilles, I was told by a bunch of doctors and a bunch of people that, especially if you look online, that I'll never walk the same again, that the recovery process is going to be the worst recovery process of any injury. Anytime I would go out, I'd just go out like to go pick up some milk. And I'm in line on my crutches with a bag ready to put the milk in. Lady goes, oh my goodness, what'd you do? I go, I ruptured my Achilles. And the immediate visceral response is, oh my goodness. Oh, how are you going to deal with that and all this? If I bought into all of that, it's hard and it's going to be trash, I wouldn't even be here, bro. I wouldn't have continued with the gym and shit. Yeah. And dealing with something.
We would have had Fat Mitch on. Fat Mitch, no gym.
Fat Mitch, no gym. Dealing with trials is the whole point of life, bro. Yeah. Like, if everything was easy, what would be the point? And I have to embody that given this recovery process. Bro, I haven't walked in over 2.5 months. Like, my calf, you want to talk about atrophy? My left calf is a half the size of my right calf. Yeah. The helpless feeling of not being able to move my foot. Like, it would be so easy to fall into the, oh, woe is me, it's too hard and it's going to be too long of a journey. They said 6 months until I'd start walking again.
Yeah.
But instead of worrying about that, instead of me having all of this anxiety and all of this anticipatory angst of what's to come, you deal with what's in front of you right now.
Right.
And for me, each day with dealing with this, it's not worrying about tomorrow or the next day or the next day. It's dealing with what the F is right in front of me.
Yeah, I understand that. Because even with my lower back, the bulging discs I deal with, I have some people tell me, you might have to stop. You're in your 30s now. You might have to stop doing the things that you're doing. But to me, what are you talking about? Not stop. Like, yeah, does it run through my mind? But what I try to check myself with is not stop. Maybe I just need to change some things up. Maybe I'm not going to be able to roll as aggressively like I'm doing, or maybe there's certain positions I'm letting myself fall in, or my game and my style needs to be switched up and changed in order to deal with the injuries that I get,
or the potential.
Or also, like you said, going through the rigorous PT or the taking the time to take off and do the PT, because PT is actually not very hard. You know what I mean? It's just the hardest part is getting yourself to do something
Showing
that
up.
you don't like, you feel and see the benefits, but it's not aesthetically, you know what I mean? It's not like you're getting that big
obvious.
pump in.
Yeah, it's not as obvious.
But you're going to feel better. And so once I dialed back, and yeah, it sucks mentally, I feel fucked up by not being able to have the same routine I have, but I go, okay, but that's okay. This is temporary. You know, after this, then we can go into maintenance mode, and we only have to do PT 2 to 3 times a week now instead of 5 to 6 or whatever, you know, whatever it may be for that individual. So like there's give and takes, man. Like you work with what you're dealing with at this moment. Like I'll tell people who are starting out, dude, if you can just get in at least twice a week or something,
control what you can.
Yeah, control what you can and start with that and then increase it. Because once you start seeing the results, you're going to naturally want to increase. You just got to give it time.
But time is the biggest commodity you cannot buy or buy back. But I'll also tell you this, time for us in the 21st century it seems so fleeting because of how we are all ingrained with instant gratification.
Yeah.
We all just want the instant now. And bro, I fight this myself. You don't think I want to just start jumping and walking and moving again? Of course I do. And even now, me discussing it and how like emotional I'm getting about it, I'm starting to sweat and stuff, actually allowing the anticipatory angst of, well, yeah, bro, there is the chance of, well, yeah, it is going to take a long time for. And if I allowed myself to live in that, I would be crippled by it.
Right.
But I'm already crippled with one leg, so I might as well just control what I can, accept what I can.
Control what you can, yeah. And maybe it might be a little different afterwards, but you do the best you can, man.
Have you ever heard of Nassim Taleb?
I don't know. That name sounds, I don't know.
I can't remember what his like claim to fame is, but he wrote a bunch of books, and he wrote this one book called Anti-Fragile.
Okay, I don't know who that is. Yeah.
Dude, I had this member tell me about it one time. This was like 5 years ago. It was during the COVID stuff. Dude broke his back, and doctor said, you'll never walk again. And he started PR deadlifting. I don't think he should deadlift, but he was PR deadlifting like a year later. And his whole thing was, these fools think I can't walk again. Watch this. And I maintain more of that mindset of, I don't care what all this noise is. What's in front of me and what can I control? Because from that standpoint, anything is literally possible.
There's that Joe Benza guy, or what is his name? That he was crippled from like getting hit by a car while he was bike riding.
Damn.
And like he cured, like he was paralyzed and he fixed it.
Bro, the human body
What's his fucking name? I have a friend that sends
the human body is such a miracle. It's such a miracle factory that,
and we're not all made, like we're apparently not all made the same, because there's some people who wouldn't come back for that. There's some people who do.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Discanza.
Well, I'll tell you this, bro. I think the mentality you have also plays such a crucial role that if
Joe Dispenza, that's his name, Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
Something about breath work and stuff like that. But like he was paralyzed and he fixed himself.
So the way I look at it is it's mind over matter. It's changing your perception on stuff. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. All these things. It's perception shift. And so when you change that fundamental perception shift, the body, you get out of your body's way to allow it to do miracle work.
But no, dude, I agree, man. I think you're doing great shit, man, over there. I'm happy to see it growing. I'm happy to see where it'll be here in a couple of years. So
combat cardio, biggest thing. First workout's free. You get a personal trainer with every single workout. No class times, no sign up. Walk in whenever you want.
What are the hours?
6 a.m. to noon. Then we close from noon to 3:30. Reopen 3:30 to 8 p.m.
Oh, okay.
That's Monday through Friday.
Yeah,
plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
And then Saturdays we're open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Mitch, I appreciate it, man. Is there anything else that you wanted to leave off with?
Last thing is my third children's book just got finished.
Oh yeah, dude. I bought the which one did I buy? The
Hope and Grace.
That one, my daughter loved it, man.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was good, dude. It was really neat.
So Willie Enable's the first one. Hope and Grace is the one you got.
It was cool to see though the translation to the parent too. Like I'm seeing stuff that my daughter's not seeing in it. Yeah.
And then you have the wisdom to instill it to her in a way that at least now that you know it in this way, you can word it in a way that's going to fit them properly.
And you're using their names as dude. Like, this is what it, The
third one is Chance and Chase. Take the chance and chase your dreams.
Yeah. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Dude. So that'll be out. I think it'll be officially out not next week, but the week after.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I'll definitely have
Amazon,
to get one
Barnes
of
and
those.
Nobles. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, too, your book.
Healthy Made Easy.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I've been pushing that book on people, man. I hope people have been buying it.
I've gotten random buys here and there.
That's good, man. That's good. I know. We need to get a fucking TBAP code on that, dude.
I'm down, dude. I mean, you already got a free membership you don't use. But that's all right.
I know. I do got to get up there. Thanks for pointing me out on that. I do got to get up there.
We sponsor the podcast, right?
Bro, I just fucking, it's just time, man. And
you don't have enough time or money?
Hold on. I fill my time. Dude, between not only that, work, kids, not even that. Hold on. I exercise as well 4 days a week.
Of course.
Okay, that's an hour and 15 minutes.
Of course.
And then I have my fucking gym I go to as well with jiu-jitsu. That's at fucking 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be, but of course.
Yeah, it doesn't always need to be. I ain't lying. Sometimes you get in there and it just goes on.
I do appreciate you having me on, bro. These conversations are always eye-opening because you're somebody no different than what we talked about earlier, will call out things that you don't understand or to keep accountable and whatnot. So like that transparent conversation is so important to have, whether it's documented or not.
Yeah, for sure, bro. So Mitch, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right.